The world tour, as you know, many of you would have attended a city or maybe two, and so what we're doing now is we've put together a collection of the best. So it's sort of like the Whirlwind Tour, we're calling it. It's the Best of World Tour 2014.
Right, so in the next, about 75 minutes, you're going to hear 5 or 6 different user stories. Again, this is like lightning talks, celebrating different users around the world, some of the things that they were presenting and weren't able to come and share with us directly. And so we've got a variety of staff, as Don and I were saying. There's a lot of moving parts here.
Yep.
I think it's like karaoke.
That's right,
about
PowerPoint karaoke.
So they're all,
yep.
I don't think almost anybody's presenting their own slides here, so it should be fun.
Yep.
Sit back and enjoy and see a taste of the kind of things you're going to be hearing all the rest of the conference in more depth from all of you.
Thank you. So on our FME World Tour in the UK, we showcased a session from Barnsley Council. Barnsley Council, the guy there, Riley Marsden, the main guy working with FME. Those of you who aren't familiar with the geography of the UK, Barnsley Council is in the north of England, just in the middle here. More well-known cities of Manchester and Sheffield in that local area. So it's a very small government unitary authority. Barnsley has a very focused Pitney Bowes stack. They use MapInfo Professional, they use Stratus Online, and they have data in a number of different locations. Quite a lot of their traditional data is in the Oracle environment, but they're at the moment moving over to SQL Server. They also have a significant amount of data in non-spatial or tabular environments. Actian is one of those, and it includes a lot of things that traditionally we wouldn't have thought we could use or manage with FME. Benefit information, taxation information, and finance data. Riley also states that they have more access and Excel spreadsheets across the network than they know what to do with, so a real challenge, which means that FME is starting to become a real go-to solution for them. The interesting part of this project was that we engaged with them very early on because they needed to do a data migration project. They needed to move from Oracle to their new standard, their new corporate standard SQL Server. They also had a significant amount of budget cuts that they were going to have to suffer and had to have a 30 million budget reduction over recent years and a lot more than that over the following 3 to 4 years. The sad fact was that during our engagement with them at the very early part, they went from a team of 4 to a team of 1. So the capability of automation was really pertinent here. Riley had to do a lot of the tasks that his colleagues had done, which many of them which weren't automated, they needed to be automated. He had a very focused idea of what FME was going to do for them. It's going to control their input data, carry out checks and validations, and to be able to, most importantly, produce consistent results. It needed to do the same thing every day and every week. And we had a little snapshot. We charted their use of FME in this case study literally over 6 months, from purchase and procurement through to using FME for a whole host of capabilities. One of those was, quite a few of them actually, were focused on populating their WebGIS. In the UK, the National Health Service has an NHS Choices API that allows access to all of the traditional health service capabilities in the United Kingdom. It's accessible via a URL that you can pass in with different components. So here you can see that we're passing in the service type, which is accident and emergency hospitals, around a postcode, pass in the API key, and then within a kilometre distance of 40 kilometres. So we can dive over and pass that URL into a web browser and pull back all of the hospitals that are within 40 kilometres of the centre of Cambridge. The interesting thing that will get all of you XML people hot under the collar is that is able to be delivered in different representations, and the XML content can be pulled out, and of course FME can read that. We built a very quick process that allowed us to publish that data out to in this case some KML, but in actual fact it went out to a MapInfo tab file to allow their strata system just literally to pick that content up on a weekly basis. Here we've got the hospitals with accident and emergency capabilities around the local area. In the case of writing to KML, we have a little image. We've got a URL that allows us to go and find out more detail from the NHS Choices site about Barnsley Hospital. So a neat little solution for them to be able to continually populate their web mapping system so that citizens can dial in to the website and find out what health services are nearby to them. There was a whole host of other capabilities that we went through. They wanted to engineer out a lot of the hard-coded map basic scripts that they had in the organisation. One of them, for example, had 5 sets of scripts that took planning application data and loaded it into Oracle. One FME workspace resolved that challenge for them very quickly. It was a conflation operation and trimming down content to load into their planning system. They did some neat 3D PDF visualization to look at areas in the local authority that had low voting patterns. They wanted to know where individuals were not registering to vote. They needed to process ordnance survey data. That was a real easy task for them with some of the products that they could process with FME. They also needed to publish their local land and property gazetteer, their address information, to the national gazetteer. In order to do this, FME doesn't support natively this format called DTF, but it's a text structure, so using the text writer in a custom format. That format didn't need to elude Barnsley's capabilities. They neatly used the directory and file path reader, which I'll definitely heartily suggest you have a look at. Directory and file path names reader allowed them to scrape their network server to find all of the duplicate files that they had on their network to make sure that certain individuals weren't using the wrong data. They did a lot of address restructuring in spreadsheets to handle troubled family data in the local authority area. Another demo I'll do quickly for you is looks at their use of publishing roadwork information. In the UK, there's an organisation called Elgin that publishes to a site. It's a scraping site, essentially, called roadworks.org. This is an example of the site, a live feed directly, all of the roadworks in central London. These are all highway closures or highway works that are affecting the highway in one way or another. So an electrical company is doing some network operations on a street light. I don't know how that works, but there's Transport for London are digging up the road and putting in a new bus bay. And all of this is live information. Now, the fascinating thing was that Barnsley wanted to publish this information on their website, but they are a publisher to Elgin. But Riley had no way of getting hold of the data that they were publishing out to an external body, so they used FME to get it back from that published service. There's an irony in there, but it was a bit of a challenge, really, for them to cope with that. But Riley wrote a workspace, and away we go. There's a nod here to Dave Campanas, actually. I don't know whether he's in the room, but he helps us out here. This API it's a SOAP service, essentially. There is a SOAP sender transformer, a custom transformer available in the FME store, which neither us nor Dave could get his head around, so he came up with a little XML templating routine and an HTTP uploader that helped us here. Essentially, to pass in, using a creator, a little bit of dummy geometry, we could pull out of that the Barnsley center bounding box, take the geometry out of that using the geometry extractor, and then pop that into an XML templater. And really, this is just an elaborate mail merge to populate it with values into the SOAP request and send that off. And the beauty of this is that now you can pass in any geometry and pull back all of the roadworks from this live service and display them anywhere you want in any application. This meant that in this case we can see the roadwork information that we've just been looking at by supplier in the inspector, They load it into the database, but they've also gone one step further and built this into a custom format. So now any MapInfo user can open up a little bit of geometry, and it ultimately queries the SOAP service and pulls back the roadwork information for that location straight away. So it's a neat little solution for them, and they can view all of the individual geometries that are going to affect the road network and have that as a daily process that automatically runs. So they were pretty pleased with that simple capability to hit that SOAP service. Riley quoted, and I wrote this down when he said it to me, in just over 6 months, I've authored close to 50 workbenches. I'm addicted, to be honest. There was one stage where I got an email from him late at night when he said, I've actually been dreaming about an owl and a tuna fish sandwich. The owl was eating the tuna fish sandwich, and the owl was writing a better workspace than me. So clearly he'd been using FME a little too much at that point, but he had a little bit of workspace blindness, perhaps. But so the next steps for them, I do wish this publication really existed, actually, but sadly it doesn't. Spreadsheet enthusiasts, for all of you tabular data professionals out there, FME is all about for cleaning data, and one of the things that they need to do is a lot of data cleanse, but they need to move back to that original project. They bought FME to do this data migration. Data migration wheels moved very slowly. They diverted themselves and carried out and did all of this cool stuff. And now they're ironically coming back to do the thing that they bought FME for in the first place. And to look at some more of these non-spatial or tabular processes that are required. So in this case, with very slim resources, FME is really helping them to transform their data, but actually connect applications is really significant for them. To allow these applications to talk to each other hands-free through this automated capability is really important. So I guess I'll close and say that if you see owls and tuna fish sandwiches, then you probably need to stop and have a little rest. But thank you very much.